Hi, everyone. This is VA to VA, and this is officially our last HOA, Hangouts on Air with Google Plus. As you all know, Google Plus announced that they will no longer have HOA. So we wanted to share with you some things that we're learning through the process. I am Tammy Durden with Tammy's Office Solutions, and I have two colleagues with me who I love, and I'm going to let them introduce themselves as well.
Hi, I'm Lisa. Oh, I'm Lisa Cole with Augusta Virtual Assistants out of Augusta, Georgia. I am owner and manager of a team of virtual assistants. There are 8 of us, and we specialize in different aspects of online support. We help, our target really is realtors and attorneys, but we help other business owners as well, and we want to welcome you.
Hi, I'm Nanette Telemack with In Essence Virtual Assistants out of Newbury, New Hampshire, and I am been in business since 2013. I service I'm a generalist. I service companies in the administrative, sales, and marketing, or web design. And right now, currently, I have one subcontractor working for me in sales, and hope to expand.
Great. Thanks, ladies. I did neglect to say that what I do. So Tammy's Office Solutions, one of the things that we do that I love is empower disabled professionals to work with us. So in the multi-VA companies, that's, how I got started actually. I'm disabled with MS and lupus, and I know how hard it is to work outside of the home, and I knew there had to be other professionals having the same difficulty. And we simply help professionals through bookkeeping, digital marketing, virtual assistant services, would be administrative, product launches, just about anything, and then also writing services. So thank you for joining us today. We're very excited to bring this to you. Now, I don't want to scare everybody because we had questions. We are not going away. So we are simply, this will be our last HOA. It was a forced move. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. And, often this happens. As virtual assistants, we use technology all the time, small businesses and everything else. And we, depend on those services for so many things. And fortunately, there are a lot of options, but it's just like this sudden, they didn't give us a lot of time or notice. And it was like underneath the rumors for a while. But, there's always rumors with Google, so you never know what's going to happen and what's going to be true or not. And so when we finally did see in print that this was happening, then we began scrambling to see what was our next option. So, it's just funny because we become so attached to our tools and our technology, especially ones we love and especially ones that are important to us and that we, now fortunately we weren't using this every day, but it was still an important piece of what we do and what we use. And many of your clients may have used it even. And so trying to keep it all together so that we transition well and we don't affect the clients and all of those things, and plus make it to a new platform and make it look seamless as virtual assistants. I mean, let's face it, as virtual workers, we have to make it look seamless for our clients because we have to be the calm one in it. And so just because, if a tool goes away and that's going to change their world, we have to be careful, remain calm, and be the one behind the scenes taking care of some things there. It's kind of funny when I was doing some research too. I mean, this isn't a new thing. Obviously, technology changes all the time, and we're always getting new tools too. I happen to love looking for new tools and software and programs to use in our business. But I do get attached to a lot of tools as well. So we were disappointed that this happened. But I looked back at some articles even from 2009, 2013. And one particular that caught my eye was from Mike Bloom. And he took kind of a comic relief approach to something he was losing. And in one of the comments in it, one of the quotes I wanted to read was, "Our computers and the programs we use are deeply personal to us. And when we lose them, we need to acknowledge that they meant something to us. They defined us in some small way." And so he even took the comic approach as if in a death. And he said, you know, we all go through the 5 stages: the denial, oh no, that's not going to happen, they're never going to get rid of that; the anger, oh, how could they do that to us? Bargaining, well, let's see, maybe if we get enough people, we can get them to keep it, and you know, all of those things. Then depression sets in because now what do I do? And acceptance, okay, well, now we got to figure it out. And then the conclusion of where we're going to end up. And so that's kind of the process we're going through too. And all of you, I'm sure, if you use HOAs, you are as well, and trying to figure out the best option for your company, your clients, and everything else. And depending on their needs and depending on their budgets, it will determine where you end up instead of in Hangouts on Air. Now, we all know also that Google owns YouTube, so that is an option, and Nanette's going to talk about that later. And as you know, with the Hangouts on, the nice thing was that it always published to YouTube without much effort, and so that was always a nice thing. So if we go somewhere else, we have to be aware of how is that going to affect then. Also, we need to get it on platforms other than where we are if we're not on YouTube. So there's just a lot that goes into it, and sometimes we don't even think about all the processes and steps involved in it. And so Lisa's going to talk to us about some of the steps that are involved as we move forward in looking for any new tool if we're losing a tool or a program. So Lisa, go ahead and talk to us about that, please. You're on mute.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do apologize, my camera is not cooperating today, so I know you can see at least a shadow of me. But when you're in this position to where you're needing to look for other options, transition to another platform of any kind, clients, there are some different things you need to keep in mind. One is to research as much information as you can in advance. Usually when a program or software is going obsolete or it's no longer fitting your needs, you usually have ample notice to research. Now, Google kind of brought this on in the last few weeks. So that's not a whole lot of notice, but we suggest that you do research as you can, as far as in advance as you can. Figure out would be what kind of program you need to fit the needs of the client, or is comparable to what you're already using and losing. Does it need to be user-friendly? Does it need to be web-based, or is it going to be downloaded proprietary to that computer? Is it for a single user, or do you need a team to be able to access it as well? Also, if there's a cost involved, you need to compare the price of the features. A lot of programs have pricing tiers that not only fit the need, but fit the budget as well. And then if there is a paid service, if it's something that you're going to have to pay for, then utilize a free trial period to gain that experience, and determine if it's going to fit your needs or not. If the change is going to directly affect, then please be transparent with them. Let them know that there's going to be a transition, but reassure them that their processes are not going to be compromised at all. You know, some people are wary of change, or change stresses them out. So you being the professional and the one that is taking care of, you know, their business needs, their business processes, to be confident that it's going to get taken care of and everything they need is going to be accomplished. And let them know that a change is happening if it directly involves them if they really need to know. Don't keep it from them. Set up a training session with your team and let them know what the new program is going to be, and give them training on it before you let them set up on it and maintain it. Now, if you do manage a team, they can help you with the research. They can try out the free trial when you are. They can give feedback on what does and does not work. So utilize their skill sets in determining what's going to best fit need. And then if possible, have a plan B in case a new system goes down for updates or their server even has errors. And we've all experienced that if we've been in business long enough. There's server errors or updates. Usually the updates are in the middle of the night, but some of us work in the middle of the night, or we may need to access something in the night. So have a backup plan just in case it's not doing what you had hoped it would. I've got an example, a couple of examples when I was doing this, putting this together. I have a client who came to me and said, I need a new, better database system. He said, this is what I need it to do for me. I need it to be web-based, but password protected. I'm really, unsettled about things being web-based and others accessing my database files. So it has to be password protected. It has to be user-friendly because my contractors, some of them are not computer literate. They know how to work a smartphone to a degree, but they need to be able to access this program with a username and password and get in and out, as quickly as possible and easily as possible. And they use Google Calendar for their scheduling, so it needed to sync with Google Calendar and needed to have a reasonable cost. He said, he had said that if it worked, he didn't mind paying for it, but, I wanted to keep in mind that it not be exorbitant or, not fit his budget. And then it needed to have a mobile app, if at all possible, for his contractors to just click the app and log in and get the information they need in the database. So I did research that, and I found that Zoho Contacts was best for him. It had all the features that he needed. And then another example was like when we talked a couple of months ago concerning social media posting platforms. And there are 6 or 7 different ones out there. Buffer and what's another one that's real popular? Buffer and
Hootsuite.
Hootsuite. And when you're researching those different platforms, they need to do what you need it to do. I mean, what platforms are you going to be posting? And do you need analytics to show the client that their audience is growing because of the social media postings? So those were 2 good examples that I had when transitioning to new programs. So that's what we would suggest, and hopefully that'll help us as well as we're on this journey to find another platform to come to you on.
Now, Lisa, it sounds like the biggest key, at least in the beginning, that you're talking about is research and making sure you've done your research on everything and before you pick something.
Exactly. I mean, we were just talking before we came on air. My camera is dying on this laptop. So guess what I have to do? I have to find something else. I have to transition to something else. And you suggested an external camera, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to research external cameras to be able to be seen during these live broadcasts because this isn't working. So I'm about to embark on that as well.
Mm-hmm. And I would even say that you should constantly be abreast of new technologies and not wait till something is breaking or disappearing. Like I subscribe to a technology newsletter which covers new technology, new apps that are coming out, and and then I investigate them. I look at them in my leisure so that I know what's new, what's up and coming, and what the reviews are, so that if something happens, then I'm not starting from the ground to try to solve an issue in a short period of time. I have some options already, or things I could look at, because when you're put in that position, like we kind of got ourselves into with Google, and no thanks to Google, which annoys the heck out of me, because if you're going to provide all these apps to small businesses, Google should be considerate to those small businesses. They want us to, since they want us to use them,
right,
to tell us in enough time.
Yeah,
but,
I think we might have had a total of 3 to 4 weeks total at the most, and that I only found by accident, actually, through an article. So yeah, and even just being, and maybe they did email, but if they did, it was stuck in spam or somewhere, because I sure didn't get it. And I don't know about you, but I pay for my business services with Google. I pay for the email and the other things. And I would expect that they would give me a high priority email saying, this is going to change, but they didn't.
But they don't. Yeah.
No.
They don't do that with a lot of their apps.
No. And Beth Ann is on our platform, talking to us, and she said that the Sunrise app closed down. And she said you can still use it, but there are no more updates. So I'm not particularly familiar with that one, but boy, that's annoying, I mean, you just suddenly, you're used to using that. I mean, day in and day out, maybe several times a day, just like Lisa was talking about her contractor who, they have to have something. Now, what if Zoho goes away suddenly, and then all of that. Now, I will say Blab also went away suddenly. And I mean, at least Google's given us a few weeks, but Blab just disappeared. Now they're letting their clients or their people download in a short period of time their videos, but otherwise they would have even lost their videos and everything else. So, you just have to have that, like Lisa was saying, that backup plan that we're going to use this, but, if something else happens. And honestly, like, HOAs have never been very reliable necessarily. We've certainly had our issues, and that's been a big talk all around Google Plus, that they've had their issues. But Ross in the comments before our HOA was talking about how hard it was to even learn HOAs and to really get them set up properly and everything else. So there are various ways of looking at it. Now, Beth Ann just said the Sunrise app was a calendar app that synced with a lot of other apps and calendars. So that's hugely important, I mean, especially for you and your clients, and making sure everybody's on the same page. And so, yeah, so I don't know. Now, Elizabeth also asked Nanette, what's the name of that tech newsletter, please? And if you don't know it off the top of your head, we can put it in the comments later. So, and Nanette's going to talk about some options that we have moving forward. Thank you. You're muted.
That newsletter is called Tech Today. In fact, what I'll share is two newsletters that I tend to look at. I mean, there is the magazines Wired and things of that nature, but I like having newsletters that I could store away in a folder on my email, which I just call newsletters, and those are things I like to refer to when I need to, and look back at. And so the tech newsletter is called Tech Today, and it's from About, because About has so many different newsletters. You can subscribe to different ones for small businesses, for technology, things like that. Another newsletter that I really like is from a woman, Amy Lynn Andrews. I don't know if any of you know her, but she has a great she puts out, and she talks about different apps, that are out there and what works and what doesn't, if she's using it or not. So I like her as well, and I could share all that on to everyone on our website.
Sounds like the last one might be a good option for Beth Ann to look at and see if there's another, even looking at some back newsletters for her. just to see if
Sure.
there's an app.
Right. Exactly. So because she blogs a lot of that, and so she sends out a newsletter. And I put these away if that's, a best practice that you want to capture. That's a good thing to do. There's another one that's PC related, because I have a PC, and it just teaches me how to solve issues with Windows and stuff like that. So I also have that one, but I keep those away. I may not look at them immediately as they come in. I click them open because people will stop sending you if it doesn't look like you ever open them. So I do open them, but then I put them in my folder for references, especially, as I peruse them really fast and say, is there anything of interest for me today on this newsletter? If not, then I delete it. If so, I put it in my folder. So that I have something to refer to in the future.
And Beth said, yes, she loves Amy Lynn Andrews. She's very familiar with her. So thank you, Beth.
Oh, that's great. So I guess some of the research that, if we were talking about real time, when we found out about Google Hangouts going away, on air going away, I started to do some research about what's out there. And as you all know, there's tons of webinar applications out there. When I first looked at the YouTube live streaming, I started seeing all these different options of downloading, encoding video coders and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, that's I don't have time to even try to figure this out. So I tried to see what else is out there that we could possibly use, and I kind of didn't even venture into YouTube right off the bat, because, and I think you all know this, their help forums can just confuse you more than anything. So I didn't feel like we had time. We actually thought that we wouldn't be able to do this on HOA for this Friday, but luckily they're not discontinuing it till Monday. So I found so many sites. Of course, it's the usual. There's the WebNX. There's one called Any Meeting. There's Livestream. There's Zoom. So I looked at all of them, and the problem is some had more functionality than others. A lot of them let you brand your webinar invite events so that you have your logo and things of that nature. They all do that, but then what really comes down to whether you use it or not is the fact that there's a charge. Nothing is free. You can always do a free trial. And we could always use something different every month for the free trial, that one-time shot. But then we're constantly using different ones. We'd all become proficient, but we're always sending a different kind of URL to everybody, so that wouldn't work. And the range in pricing is just amazing. Some are really expensive, and some are kind of cheap, but still, there's money involved. The great thing about the Google Hangout was that it was free. So that prompted me to go back to looking at the YouTube and looking at the how to set up the events. And, really it didn't seem that hard, but it's going to require us doing test runs before our next topic broadcast in October, to make sure that we get all the kinks out. And so that's something in terms of when you're moving from one application to another, you need to consider is the ramp up time to understanding whatever system or app you're using. Because you become so familiar with using one that it should be easy to use another app, but they always have a different angle or a different way of doing things. And so there's a lot of trial and error. And with all these webinars, except for the Google, they may require a plugin, some kind of download, and you don't know how that's going to react to your computer. It can shut it down, it can drag it, make it slow, it can mess up your audio, and I think, Tamara, you probably could attest to that. So these are all considerations that you need to do before you have your business up. You're able to service your customers, or even your own if you're doing training seminars for your customers on a regular basis. So.
Absolutely. And I know that the ladies, I know Elizabeth was asking for her name again, and we put that in the comments. Thank you for all the comments. And hi, Beth. Thank you for the birthday wish. I appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Happy birthday.
Sometimes when you get a certain age, you're just okay with it. But thank you. That was so sweet. It's tomorrow, but thank you so much, Beth.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, ladies. But it is, I mean, it's really hard when we lose something because, like you said, Annette, that pricing really can affect, especially small businesses. I feel like we get nailed left and right with just, a small fee here, a small fee there. And we have to have the things in order to service our clients well, and our clients need them. And then that can drive our price up too, so it all affects everything,
It affects your revenue, because if you have to raise your price, then your customer may go shopping somewhere else. At the same time, you have overhead pricing that you have to incorporate. So you're trying to limit that as much as possible in your business. I have a good example, of a company that now I have to do some research on my own. I was using a application that allows me to do time tracking and invoicing and everything, and I liked it, but they kept changing their models. They start segmenting their the modules. Like, for instance, I used to be able to do as many invoices as I want, and then then they started to charge. All of a sudden, I tried to do 2 invoices and I couldn't do it. They only allowed me 1, and then they said, "Oh, you upgrade," and they never announced that. They just put it in. Say, okay, upgrade if you want to have unlimited invoices, and $9 a month on top of what I'm already paying them, just to have my subcontractor have an account in me. So I was like, no, I guess I'll be moving. It's
It is. I know. I use FreshBooks, but they did that as well after a period. Like I think the initial period, it was like I could have 3 to 5 clients to invoice, and maybe a subcontractor for a small, like $5 maybe. And then they upped it again, like to 10 or something, to be able to do more clients. And now the key in that is if you have, I mean, most of us have clients that are retainer clients staying with us, but sometimes we have those project clients that we can, put that archive, and then, now we only have 3 active clients, 5, 7, whatever it is. But one of the things with FreshBooks, I will tell you, is that if you get trained, and it's, going through a video for 45 minutes or something, it's very easy. If you get trained as one of their bookkeepers, accountant, I think they like you to have already offered that service, but then you actually get a free account, and no matter how much so that's a little tidbit, ladies. So if you do any bookkeeping or accounting or offer that service in any way, definitely grab hold of that, because I like FreshBooks for my invoicing and for our contractors to keep time and everything else. And I will tell you, for me, customer service is huge. Like you said, YouTube, forget it. You're not going to get customer service on the line, and so FreshBooks, though, I will tell you, has the best customer service, and you don't hardly hold 2 minutes at the most. I mean, they pick up right away. And so I do give them accolades for that. But so there's so many things out there, especially as small businesses, that we have to pay for, like those things. And then just other little apps here and there, especially, anymore. We're also helping design elements with our clients and other things like that. And if you want it to be professional looking, there's certain, things you have to do and have to purchase in order to make them that way. And so it's just very hard. I feel like a lot of people look at virtual workers and virtual business professionals as if, oh, you don't have any overhead, but it's not true anymore. We can have extensive overhead, and especially if we have contractors. So you just really have to be careful where you're spending that money, and then where is it worth it. And I know you said too, sometimes there's limitation on viewers. Talk a little bit about that for us.
Well, right. So, for instance, when I look at some of the software that's available, and I'll run down a few of them, like Zoom webinars, grow your business with webinars, 3 up to 50 interactive video panelists. But that'll cost you $54 for 100 attendees. So it's free probably to 30, but then they limit some functionalities that you may want to have. For instance, branding or being able to ask questions in chats. You know, you can't customize if you get it free. So then if you look at the next, option up, then you're talking about $54. There's one I found called Workcast, and that sounded like it was quick and easy to run webinars. You don't have to download anything, no plugins. And I thought, oh, that's great. You can share your screen. You can have multiple users like us, on there. But it's $145 a month. So I was like, okay, move on. And then there was, so that's, kind of the stuff that I was finding. Click Meeting, you could have 50 attendees, which probably works for us because, live, we never really get that amount of people. They all look at us after we've uploaded onto YouTube. But you can have 4 presenters, 4 video streams if you want. You can have a rebranding tool. You can record and archive your download your video, and I thought that was great. But it's $29.75 a month. So again, you have to, and all these companies, they want you to pay annually. So, that's a big chunk of change that you're putting out there when you're trying to do this. So I was thinking about people who do training on a regular basis, and we've had our past HOA to talk about doing training videos or videos where you're teaching people something, whether you're teaching your clients or you're providing a teaching program to people. Now you're talking a lot of money, and then you have to give those costs to your clients, and so that becomes kind of an iffy thing for you. You're trying to make a profit at the same time. You don't want to overcharge, but you have to have these overhead charges. So I mean, it becomes a headache for you. So those are the things that I was finding. Everything was a free trial, but with the free trial, you may not have the ability to have 3 of us on at one time, or you may not be able to have too many attendees. Some of them were really limited, like 4, and that was it. And that's a meeting. That's not an event. So those are kind of the things that I was finding when I was doing my research.
What surprises me too so much about it is that the a lot of times the software and programs, the pricing's somewhat similar, might be a little here and there, but the pricing you're talking about is like up here, down here, up here, down here. I mean, it makes no sense. It really doesn't even, I mean, it's like they just put it out and said, well, let's see if anybody buys it.
Exactly.
Right.
Like I saw Any Meeting, and the only reason why I considered Any Meeting, it provided the branding and it provided a high amount of attendees and everything, and their lowest price for the basic was $18 a month, and so that was like the lowest price I could find on anything. So, but again, I rather have something that's free because that's how we've been doing it for 2 years. And so I went back to YouTube and said, okay, now I have to just buckle down and learn how to use it.
It's so hard, and honestly, we do this, the video free for people to learn. That was our goal, was because there was nothing really out there helping people who are VAs who are creating multi-VA companies. And we said, I know that when I began that, I had questions, and that you said you did. And so we just got together and, we had our own meeting and then said, other people might want to hear this. And so really it just began as, let's help other people through this process. It wasn't that we were charging for coaching on the side or anything else. We were just wanting to help others. now in the future, we're going to have some exciting things coming up, but we still, it's still, we're going to still bring the free monthly HOA and bring topics to help, you guys be able to continue in your businesses, whether VA or not, really, because a lot of the things we talk about are important for any small business. And, but, that's our goal, is to just help other, small businesses and virtual assistants who are struggling, whether to go to the next step and become a multi-VA or to stay a solopreneur, and all of those things. So we have to figure out a way to do it that isn't just a free sample, but that it's in the long run a really good, and that it's a tool that hopefully won't go away too soon. So, some tools we've never heard of, and some we say, oh, well, they've been around a really long time, they're probably not going anywhere, and so you have to kind of weigh those things out too. I love using new tools, but sometimes, like using new tools like this, I mean, HOAs haven't even been around terribly long, and here it is going away. So, sometimes you take the risk, and sometimes you have to just decide plan B then. So,
Right.
absolutely.
And also, it's good. If you're using this tool or any tool with a customer, and you get them involved, then you have to think about converting them over to something new.
Yeah.
Really helpful to keep abreast of what's going on in the apps out there and the technologies that are changing, because you can be. This is an opportunity to be a resource or consultant to help your customer move to the next step, because I'm sure they're struggling. So if you're able to provide, just by the process of what we're going through right now, and knowing, setting up best practices for changing technologies, managing that process for yourself as well as for your customers, if you can get that down, then you're going to be a really valuable resource to your customer,
Absolutely.
who's having a hard time, like I'm just bringing in the customer right now who doesn't even know what her blog and the WordPress is, and she's asking me, where do I go? And I'm like, okay. Where do I? Well, I didn't make it, you did. but if I can help her, but understanding of these processes and everything, then I'm going to be more valuable to her, because I'm not going to just say, let me take it over, which I will say, but also I'm going to lay it out for her and show her, this is where you go, keep this URL, bookmark it, here's your login, here's how you do it in the future, because she doesn't even know where her admin console is, and this is how you do it. So I'm showing her, now I'm already adding value.
Absolutely, yeah. And, a lot of our clients aren't techie, and I don't consider myself necessarily techie, but compared to, and just the fact of researching and knowing some of the resources and tools out there, you do add value for your clients. And they can count on you to be the one who, when the changes come, they're going to rely on you as that resource, and you will be even more valuable to them. So, yeah, so definitely keeping abreast of all the changes. I love that you mentioned Wired, because I also like that. And even some of the other online magazines like entrepreneur.com and Inc., they're all good too. Now, they're not always they'll have a technology section. They're not going to be always technology focused, but they do focus on small businesses too, and how to help your business and things like that. But so it's just really important. And, if I wasn't involved in social media, I would not have even known about the change. And so, we would have just tried to schedule. And then, like when we scheduled this one, it said Hangouts on air are moving to YouTube Live. Use the YouTube Live schedule events happenings after September 12th. And that was in red, and that was it. So, I mean, that would have been the only time, but what if somebody used it after that? They'd be like, what? So.
Well, after you told me what happened, I was looking, I think when I was researching YouTube, I went and I saw these, in the forums, people were talking. And one guy says, I use I use HOA for training, for teaching purposes on a regular basis. And he goes, what do I do? And I felt sorry for the guy because now he's scrambling to find something else to service his clientele, you know? And that's the kind of thing. It's just like, that's not how they should be doing it. You know, a big company like them.
No, yeah. I mean, absolutely. I think they think YouTube Live is going to be the similar, but it's not. I mean, you can't just translate everything from HOAs over to YouTube Live. It is a very different platform in general. And so, yeah, I'm still learning a lot about it myself and all the nuances because there's so much to it. And
yeah,
especially the SEO work with it and everything else.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah. And you used, when you set it up, you used to be able to push out the event right on Google Plus. Now you can't do that anymore with YouTube, my understanding, right? So that's all new, and how we get the word out is going to be something that we have to explore.
Right.
You know.
And remember, you know, I just want our audience to remember we do have a website, VA to VA, so VATOVA.com. So please always, you know, we're trying to keep the updated videos on there as well, but we have resources and downloadable forms and things like that on there for you guys. So please be sure to use that resource and watch for upcoming exciting things that are going to be coming up really soon. So, but yeah.
So post where we're going to be next month. We can post that on the website and Facebook page. We have a Facebook page as well.
And we can still post on G+, so we can still update people when we're going to have something, but it's just going to be, you know, it's going to have a link to a different place, and that they're going to have to join us, you know, there. So we'll just, you know, it's going to be a learning process, and please bear with us. And we really appreciate all those that do follow us and even watch later. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. And this is for you, so you can learn, and we're just excited to be a part of that. So we want to help you. I'd love to hear any ideas of those who are still viewing, you know, any ideas you all have, and what are you going to be using differently, or, you know, if there's any programs you've lost recently. I know that we had Sunrise was mentioned, but anything else, we'd love to hear about that, and any journeys that you all have too. So please post those for us. You know, we'd love to hear those as well. So I think our next step is probably going to try YouTube Live, right? It sounds like, and we'll have to tell you later, you know, everybody, how that goes when we use that. I'm sure, you know, like I said, I mean, Nanette even indicated, I didn't even have sound until, what, 15 minutes before. I asked Annette to jump on early to test it because I knew I was having a little trouble with it. And so, yeah, you know, 15 minutes before, and then 5 seconds before, Lisa was red and blue, I think. So you just never know what's going to happen with a live event. You know, you just hope for the best, and you take the preparations that you can and make everything work as best you can, but you just never know, especially for live events. And we love bringing live events. It's not that we want to record it and send it out. We love bringing the live events because we can interact with you all too, and we love that part of it. So now Elizabeth is thanking us for everything, that it's helpful, and I'm glad it is, because that's our goal, is to make it helpful for all of you who are watching. So now Beth says she's only ever used Skype as family video chatting source, and then asks, is Skype a potential free option? Now, I don't think you can have audiences with Skype, can you? I think it's just like you can maybe have a group, but I don't think you can have audiences, can you?
More than 2. You can't have more than 2 without it being a paid.
Okay.
Right.
Well, thank you, Beth, for asking.
They have a business web app. That's for sure. But when I was researching, you know, I wasn't hearing good things about it. You know, it was clunky, and probably like Google Hangouts has been for us. So, you know, I didn't really pursue it further because of that, because I don't think we want to move from one clunky system to another. So.
Well, and I know too, when I've used Skype in the past, and honestly, I don't like Skype, but a lot of people still use it, at least for voice and things like that. But when I've used video Skype in the past, it was just always so on and off. You know, you didn't know if it was going to come in that time or if it wasn't. And I'm not trying to say bad things about it. It's great for certain things. One-on-ones, talking to somebody and video, and you know, who lives across the country, things like that, it's wonderful. But for what we need to use it for, and for teaching and those kinds of things, you know, it's a whole different ball game. And we had Craig on last month talking about e-learning and all of that and the platforms he's used. Now I think he's on Zoom, but of course he pays for that because he has students, you know, that pay for his teachings and things like that. So, you know, it just depends what you're going to use it for, and you have to weigh out all the different options and the costs involved too.
Right. I mean, if you're starting a training session, it's worth finding something that's going to be reliable, steady, and you know, and you're going to have to pay for it. But that's written into your costs when you offer a training course. So I understand that part, because here in my full-time job, I work with a lot of with companies that want to see our students, and there's a lot of virtual which saves them from traveling to the campus. So I've become familiar with Adobe Connect. I've become familiar with things like Jabber. I've become familiar with Skype, and I've used it for setting up for interviews for them and things of that nature. And I like Adobe Connect, but you know, all these things cost money for it to work well. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that's not something we want to undertake at this time. Now, in the future, who knows? But right now, it's not something we can do and undertake at this time.
And also, you know, Skype is now owned by Windows, and so that may be evolving to something a lot better, a lot more stable, you know. But right now, I don't think it's, you know, it's great for me to talk to my granddaughter. That's about
it. Exactly. Yeah, those kind of things it's perfect. But yeah, and Microsoft owns LinkedIn and everything now. So it's like, you know, these whole little conglomerates are rising up and buying everything up. And so they're all going to be interlinked one day, you know. So, and just like you guys were talking about too, even just simple things that you would think would be simple, like being wireless for your virtual work. I have had such a struggle with that. I mean, these ladies know the frustration, and I know you all as an audience have seen that times I've been in and out. I've been, you know, the voice has been in and out, and you've lost me and all kinds of stuff. And you know, and I've been back and forth with Comcast about, I have to have it out here, you know, I have to be able to have a signal. But if you're residential, if you're zoned residential, they're not going to let you have a business wire. And then I said, well, let me have a second one that's just for me, and I'll pay for it, you know. Tell me how much that would be. And they said, well, if you're zoned residential and you already have one, you can't have another one. So, but they had miscommunication, because one person told me a price, and then the other person said, no, you can't do that unless you somehow get the post office to say, okay, well, you have a second wing, and you could call that like an apartment or something and make it A or B. And then down in Virginia, we have HOAs everywhere, which are not HOA, are the Homeowners Association, not this HOA. And so the Homeowners Association isn't going to allow for that, you know, so it's just a whole big mess. And so finally, after months and months and months, I mean, I've really had trouble with this for years, but it's gotten worse. And you would think with the speed and everything else, supposedly, and we're paying for the highest speed, so it's not like we're down low or anything. And I don't know if you all know this, but when they advertise and say it's a certain speed, that's only guaranteed if you're plugged in right next to the system. I mean, like right on top of it. They guarantee that speed. The minute you step away from it, you're losing. So in the end, this week, I got it straightened out, everyone. But my husband's not happy now because They ran a wire from our den all the way along the wall, up over our entryway, along our dining room wall, onto the second dining room wall, drilled a hole through and came in so they could hardwire me in. So he was very upset because he said it looks awful, but I'm hardwired in. So, but they wanted to pay for somebody to go under the house or something. And I'm like, if Comcast wants to do it after all the trouble I've had, fine, you all do it and do it that way. But of course, I think they used an outside contractor for those things. And the guy that was here couldn't do that. Now, why it took so many people to finally say, well, let's do it this way, I have no idea. But I have a strong signal today. I'm wired in and hopefully won't have any more trouble. But technology is frustrating sometimes, as much as we can't live without it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I told him, I said, I work virtually. If I can't get on virtually, I can't work, you know. So, you know, as much as it is frustrating sometimes, we can't live without it either. And so we have to live alongside it.
Yeah, nothing's perfect, and technology
No.
is certainly not, you know, and it bothers me when people say, like, when we are doing our presentations, they want, I have audio and I have video and big screens, and I'll have people say, everything's got to work perfectly. I'm looking, I'm like, what? Don't say that, because it's not going to happen. What do you mean
Right.
perfect? You know,
Exactly.
I could have an hour ahead of time and something will fail in the last minute.
Right. Yes, I've had trouble with that with a client, in fact, because of playing videos. I mean, that has been my nemesis. I am not kidding you. And then I'm at an event and you want to present yourself well. And when you're running that and running the PowerPoints and the presentations, if something goes wrong, it looks bad on you. So in the end, it doesn't help you, it hurts you. So yeah, so I think we've got it all now. But like you said, you just never know. You never know what's going to happen and how things are going to go. And all you can do is work with the systems you have and work with, if you're at an event, the systems they have, and hope that everything works well. And if
Yeah,
it does,
I
it's
make
great.
exactly. I make it a point when people say, "Well, I want music, you know, prior to, and I want this and I want that." You know, it's, you have to be really specific. You know, you have to tell them exactly what kind of file you need. You have to tell them what system do you have, you know, and so that will work well. I mean, you have to really have a big checklist for yourself and for your and I, you know, with this new customer that I brought in, I mean, I actually gave her a checklist. How do you work? What systems do you have? You know, I want to know everything, because I don't want to be surprised, because then it's not on me, it's on you. You know,
That's
and
right.
I put that in my agreement with them, that these are, not only do I list, as they asked me, what administrative task or marketing or sales or whatever I'll be doing for them, but I put as a stipulation, I need, you know, and then I list out what I need, you know, how they're going to communicate to me, how often they're going to communicate to me, how they're going to give me things on a timely basis, because I want to spell down that agreement, because if you don't do that, then it's not on me.
Right.
You know?
And the expectation is set up ahead of time. And yes,
Exactly.
I have checklists for clients too, like that. I have like a packet, a welcome packet, and has things like that in it. Because you have to know those things, you know, that's an important piece of it. And if, like, I'm waiting on a client now to finish a website. Well, the homepage was done this weekend, and I have yet to be able to get him to go over it with them so that we can get it finished. And he wants me to start on his marketing, social media, but we can't do that until this is finished, you know.
Right.
So yeah, so you really do, it's hard, you know, and because clients hire us because they're busy. So it is, it's a tough battle balancing all those things, and then the technology in the middle of it all that hopefully works right, but not always.
Right. Exactly.
So yes, indeed. Any other comments, lady? We're down to about 5 minutes left. So any other comments about moving forward and everything else? And by the way, Elizabeth agreed with me that Comcast customer service is awful. I've spent hours on the phone with them lately. So don't get me started.
Well, y'all pray for me as I look for a new camera.
Yes.
And hopefully I'll live better.
Sometimes I would like mine to be cloudy. Gives you that mysterious look.
That's true. That's true.
Oh my goodness. Oh, now Beth says she's so grateful to hear our experiences. It's comforting to know that we as VAs, having a lot of the same successes and struggles. So she thanked us for sharing it. And yeah, we're very vulnerable with you all. We share. We are not perfect in any way. And yes, we do have struggles. I can remember before one event, it was our sponsor, a bank, a big bank, was emailing me in the middle of the night still to get the download of a video the day before the event. I was like, this cannot happen anymore, So yeah, it's the things we do, right?
Yes,
Right.
absolutely.
I've gotten to the point now where someone will say, well, I'm sending you something. I'm like, okay, well, scan it to me too. So I get it different ways, and sometimes when people are coming, I'll have a DVD, especially if it's video. I'll have a DVD.
Yes.
If they want a video they want to play, I ask them to send me a file, an MP4, and I put on a flash drive. I'm like, anything because something could break, So I want 4 or 5 ways.
It's
just get
true. It's true. You're so right. And it's frustrating. I know I got to the point where I send a checklist to our speakers, our non that are coming and say, I need this by this, or you won't have a video or a PowerPoint or whatever. I mean, you just have to be firm, sometimes. I mean, I love my clients and I try to help them as much as I can. I go out of my way, and I know we all do. But there comes a point where you can only do so much.
That's right. I have a contractor that likes to text me information for contracts, and I'd rather have it nailed and all in one place, not 2 different places. So it's easier for him to text if he's out in the field during the day. He doesn't mind emailing when he gets back in the office in the evening. But I will tell him, that's fine that you text me this now, but when you get in the office, I need it emailed to me. And he doesn't have a problem with it, but I just have to repeat myself sometimes.
Yes, yeah. And that's an important thing too. I don't know about y'all, but I end up doing screenshots of texts from clients to email myself so that there's no lapse there of communication, and that if anything would come back, I can say, well, see, this was the text you sent or something. But it's hard to keep up with it sometimes because you do, when you have a couple of clients doing that, you have to go back and remember, I got to do these and email myself, that should be an app.
Yeah.
A way to email the text, right? Automatically. Anyway, so, well, as we wind up, we really appreciate our live viewers as well as those who watch us later. It means the world to us, and I really appreciate the interaction we've had today. That has meant a lot to us too. So we hope you all have a wonderful weekend. We don't know where we'll be, and that's the big surprise next, but we will keep you informed. So believe us, we are still moving on, and we're going to have another live video next month. So please keep a lookout for it, and you'll see us posting on our page, on our website, and you'll see some things coming out soon. And then we'll see what happens next. It's an adventure, right?
Right.
You're right.
Definitely. Any last comments?
Oh, the journey continues.
Absolutely. Absolutely. This has been VA to VA, helping other virtual assistants start their multi-VA companies, as well as other small businesses, really, with information. And we appreciate y'all and look forward to next month. You guys have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.